Morton Kondracke is a senior editor of The New Republic, a TV panelist for the McLaughlin Group, and moderator of the PBS weekly program American Interests. He's also a frequent guest on the McNeil-Lehrer NewsHour, NBC's Meet the Press, and CBS's Face the Nation. Let's welcome Morton Kondracke. Also joining us for this debate is Christopher Hitchens, a columnist for The Nation, Washington editor of Harper's, and a book critic for Newsday. He's reported from Israel, Turkey, Lebanon, and many other countries. He's co-editor with Edward Said of Blaming the Victims, Spurious Scholarship and the Palestinian Question, and the author of Blood, Class, and Nostalgia, Anglo-American Ironies. Christopher Hitchens. Now, just a word about the program tonight. We're going to start with opening summaries from each of our two guests of approximately 15 minutes each. We'll then have a short period of exchange of 10 or 15 minutes, and then hopefully at about halfway through the program, we're going to open up the forum to your questions. So if you have questions that you think of during the forum, write them down and we'll get to them. Probably we're aiming for around 8:30 or so. The topic once again was the Gulf War a just war? We're going to open the discussion with Morton Kondracke, who will answer in the affirmative. Mr. Kondracke.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here. Those of you who watch the McLaughlin Group with any regularity will know that I'm delighted to be anywhere that I can finish a sentence without getting interrupted. Some people say that the McLaughlin Group is unbalanced to the right, and I'm here to confess that that's true. I am the voice of sweet reason, moderation, good sense, calm, and quiet, and resolve, all virtues. And we have on the right, as you know, Pat Buchanan, who is so far to the right that he didn't come to really love Richard Nixon until after Watergate. There's Fred Barnes, also on the right. Fred and I are colleagues at the New Republic, as many of you probably know, and we were having a discussion one day about the homeless, or at least I thought I was talking about the homeless, and he thought I meant Ferdinand and Imelda Marcos. And then on the left, supposedly on the left, we have Eleanor Clift and Jack Germond, although in order to really, if this were a teeter-totter, to balance off Buchanan and Barnes, Eleanor would have to be as left as Ho Chi Minh, and Germond would have to be as heavy as King Kong. And they're not. They're working on it, each of them in his own way, in her own way, but they're not quite there yet. There is one alternative. Instead of either of them, we could have Christopher Hitchens, who, as a left-winger, if you can stand that sort of thing, Christopher is par excellence and without parallel. My purpose is to argue the positive side, that the war in the Gulf was a just war, and I'm going to do that. But I want to say that this is not the same as saying that George Bush's policy was right in every regard. Prior to August 2nd, the Bush administration pursued an odious policy of appeasement toward Saddam Hussein. It ignored the Bush-Reagan administrations didn't give him arms, as it's often alleged, but allowed arms to flow to him, weaponry, provided him with intelligence. Ignored the fact that he was butchering the Kurds, and in essence tilted politically in his direction, and right up to the end of right up to the invasion of Kuwait, basically ignored the threat, and in fact, in testimony a couple of days before the actual invasion, said that in effect it was none of our business what Saddam Hussein might want to do. At the moment, the Bush administration is pursuing an even more odious policy of basically allowing Saddam Hussein to massacre tens of thousands of Kurds and Shiites and averting its eyes. And these are people that we, in effect, encouraged to rebel against Saddam Hussein. What we should be doing is, I submit, carrying on what was a just war and, at a minimum, shooting down Saddam Hussein's fixed-wing aircraft and attack helicopters, using all the influence that we've gained in the United Nations and in the rest of the world in order to apply whatever political pressures we can to Saddam Hussein's regime in order to get him to stop, but using the military weapons that we have. I think that the dismal record of the Bush administration before and after, in a way, supports the point that what occurred between August 2nd and the end of February was not a war of aggression on our part, was not an imperialist war, was not a war that we provoked, but was a just war, an attempt to reverse aggression, to prevent the domination of that region and one of the world's great treasures, namely 40% of the world's oil reserves, by a monster. Now, the idea of a just war, as you undoubtedly know, has a history. It is a Christian history from St. Augustine and Thomas Aquinas. Now, Augustine's rules were that you should lament the necessities of just wars rather than glory in them, that peace should be the object of your desire, that war should be waged only as a necessity, and waged only that God may by it deliver men from the emergency and preserve them in peace. Now, Aquinas systematized this into several conditions. One, that the person who wages war, or the country that wages war, must have the authority to do so. Two, that it must be a just cause, that is, usually to defend oneself or another country or people from attack. Three, that the war must be carried out with the right intention of advancing the good and achieving peace in the long run. And Aquinas' followers later added a fourth, that it must be carried out with appropriate means. And there's a kind of a fifth adjunct, a rule of just war, that it, generally speaking, be undertaken only as the last resort. Now, among religious thinkers, contemporary religious thinkers, the case is all against me. Pope John Paul denounced this war. The Catholic bishops all denounced the war. Most of the mainline Protestant churches denounced the war, fundamentally saying that we didn't exhaust every possible alternative to it, that diplomacy wasn't exhausted, that we should have tried sanctions for a longer time. I think they're wrong in this respect, and I think that in the case of the Protestants particularly, and some of the Catholics, that there is really a hidden theology here of pacifism, and the pacifists, seriously, that there is no war that is justified. Now, if you believe, fine, that it may be the case that no war is justified, but consider the consequences of such a policy. The consequences are that thugs will rule the world, that those who are strong and willing to resort to force, as in a situation, in a criminal situation, those who are willing to resort to force get to do it, and nobody is around to stop them. And let's be clear: Saddam Hussein is a thug, a demonstrated thug, and there is no comparison. Those of you who believe in moral equivalence, between him and us, or him and the Kuwaitis. People poo-poo the Hitler analogy, overdrawn, way out of line. And it's true that he has not attempted to systematically commit genocide against anybody, although he has practically committed genocide against the Kurdish people in his own country, decimating the population, driving them out of their lands, using poison gas against them, and so on. This is the kind of character he is. Furthermore, along the line of the Hitler analogy, and these are not things that happen in the United States of America, nor are they the kinds of things that happen under our aegis, nor are they the kinds of things that happen in Kuwait. Now,